In this video, we're going to talk about creating linear equations from tables. We've been working with linear equations for a while now, and we know that in order to find a linear equation, we need two huge things. We need our slope, which is the value of our m, and we know that slope is our rise over run, and then we need our y-intercept, that's our b value. Now, a couple of very important things that we need to know. We need to know that slope is found by using our slope formula that's over here in the blue. When I want to find my slope from a table, I have to take two ordered pairs. So I'm going to be taking an x and a y, and we're going to call that x1 and y1, and then I'm going to take another ordered pair as x2 and y2. I'm going to plug those 2 points into my slope formula, and that's going to give us the slope of our linear equation because we are going to be creating a line from a table. Once I have my slope formula, my slope, I can then go and find the value of my b. I can find my y-intercept. On my table, that is where x equals 0. And sometimes it's not going to be there, like we'll see in the last example today. But for the first two examples, I want to work two that are pretty easy, they're very straightforward, and it's just us plugging into the slope formula and finding our y-intercept. So let's check them out. With this first example, I know that I am creating my equation y equals mx plus b. I need to find my slope, and then I need to find my y-intercept. My first step is to take my slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I need to pick two different points to plug into my slope formula. I can pick any two, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to pick these two here, and then let's pick these two here, just for the sake of the problem. We'll see how easy it really is. So y2, I'm going to pick to be my second y value. y1 will be my first y value. So I'm going to plug them straight into the equation. Since that's y2 and that is y1, I'm going to say 17 minus 8 over, and now we're going to find our x2. Well, x2 is going to be part of the y2 from the same ordered pair. And then my x1 will be with the same ordered pair as my y1. So then we're going to say 1 minus, and this is a negative 2. And we plug it in just like that. So now we can simplify our slope formula and see what our actual slope is. 17 minus 8 gives us 9 over 1 minus negative 2. Well, when I have two negatives together like that, they change to be a positive. So I get 3. 1 plus 2 gives me 3. Simplify that problem, and I get my slope to be 3. So now, when I'm creating my equation, I have my slope, I plug it in for m, and I get 3x plus, and now we have to find the value of our b. Our y-intercept is wherever x equals 0. So I'm going to look in the x column of my table, and I'm going to find where x equals 0. Whatever number is next to the 0 for the y value, that is my y-intercept. And I'm done. That is how we create an equation of a line from a table. Again, the first thing that I need to do is my slope formula to find my slope. The second thing that I need to do is I need to locate where x equals 0 and then plug that value in to my equation for my b. And that's it. We have our slope, we have our y-intercept, and I have my linear equation. So let's check out another one. Again, we're going to approach this problem the exact same way that we just did. I always like to write it out every time. y equals mx plus b. And we're going to be solving for our slope first. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Pick any 2 points. We'll make it easy this time. I'm going to pick these, and then I'm going to pick the ones right below it. This will be my y2. This will be my y1, which means that this will be my x2, and this value will be my x1. So y2 minus y1 gives me 2 minus 6. x2 minus x1 is going to be negative 1 minus negative 2. Simplify this out. 2 minus 6 gives me negative 4. Negative 1 minus negative 2, well, again, when I see those two negatives next to each other, I'm going to write them as a positive. So negative 1 plus 2 gives me a positive 1, which tells me that my slope is negative 4. So we're going to plug that back into my value of m. Y equals negative 4x plus, and now we're going to use our x values to find where x equals 0 and locate our y term so that we can plug that into our equation and be done. So again, we used the slope formula to find our slope. Then we found wherever x equaled 0 on our table to find our y-intercept. And that's it. Every one of these problems is going to be done the exact same way. So I hope that you guys are starting to get a feel for it. I hope you're feeling a lot more comfortable using the slope formula, finding where x equals 0, and saying that, okay, that's my y-intercept. Finally, with this last problem, this one's going to be a little bit tougher. And we'll see why in just a second. But in order to find my linear equation from a table, it's never going to change the method of how we do it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my slope. So we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Pick any 2 points. It doesn't matter. I'll pick this one, and I'll pick this one. So that's going to give me, I know that this is my y2. I know this is my y1, x2, x1, and now we're going to plug it in. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Go ahead and simplify. Well, I have negative 6 minus 2. An easy way to think about this, a lot of teachers will say change, or ding dong. I've heard a couple of different ways. Anyway, negative 6, change, and that gives me negative 6 plus negative 2. It's easy for me to remember. My negative stays there. That's not a very nice 8. Negative 8. And then again, when I have two negatives next to each other, that's going to be like plus. So negative 8 divided by 2 gives me negative 4. Nice way to check after all of those negative sign changes and things. Did I do it correctly? Well, if I look at my y values here, I can see that 10, 2, negative 6, negative 14, they're going down. Since they're going down towards negative numbers, I know that my slope is going to be negative. And that's an easy way for me to check to make sure that I did it correctly. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find where x equals 0. So I look at my table and I notice something. None of my values here equal 0. So I have to go and find it. So this is kind of an easy way to do it. I notice that my slope is negative 4. So if I start, I know that 0 is right here in between negative 1 and 1. So if we say that negative 1, 2, 0, something and then at 1, we have -6. I know that I'm going down every time by -4. So if I take 2 and I subtract 4, I get -2. And that is my y-intercept. So again, even when the x value of 0 is not given to us on the table, I can simply just write out a separate little table off to the side and just take -1, 0, and 1 and see what my slope is going down, and I can just subtract from that y value to get my y-intercept. So I know that my final equation here is -4x minus 2, and we're done. So I hope that this made sense, just utilizing our slope formula to get our slope for our linear equation, and then finding 0 on a table so that we have our y-intercept. I know that sometimes this table can be a little bit difficult if we don't have 0, but just know that you can do it off to the side, take your slope, and subtract your y values by that each time, and you will eventually get down to where x equals 0, and you will know your y-intercept. So thanks for checking out the video. Again, I hope it helped. I'll see you.